I am not a medical professional. All the videos that I post on my channel are treatments and regimens that's specific to me and the colon cancer that I am going through. So again, don't take it as medical advice, but it's just my knowledge and wisdom on what I know. Thank you. Hi everyone. This is a video journal of my journey on what I've learned where others might have lived if they had the right oncology team or found the right treatments, because cancer right now is on a wildfire in people under 45, especially colon cancer, because there it has been known that you get colon cancer or at least check for it at the age of 50, but now it's moved to 45. Um, but I urge you, if you see the slightest of symptoms, advocate for yourself and get tested. It's not a big deal. It's actually not that bad at all. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and your life worth saving and living if you advocate for yourself and get these tests done as soon as you see symptoms. Um, but before I go on, a scripture that has kept me going is found in Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So here's my journey. So I was 39 years old when I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. A year later, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer with metastasis to the liver. Could this have been prevented? I honestly think so. And the reason why is because from the mid 2022s, I was seeing signs of blood and brought that worry to my primary care physician, who simply said no to a test, which is a colonoscopy. It isn't necessary. You're too young. Eat more fiber. All of that, right? You're obese. Lose some weight. I lost weight, by the way, 80 pounds. Still saw blood. Nothing changed. Took fiber like there was no tomorrow. Still saw blood. So this went on until the beginning of 2024, when I finally got tired of hearing those words over and over and knew something was actually very wrong. So I finally put my feet down, advocated for myself with my primary care physician, and said to refer me to a GI or anywhere I can get a colonoscopy done. I'm paying for insurance, get me what I need. Because obviously what you're telling me isn't working, and it's been a year and a half. 2 to 3 months later, in April 2024, I finally got that colonoscopy, and it showed a mass growing in my colon. I'm in the sigmoid area, to be exact. So the sigmoid area is, I believe, right at the bottom when it curves. Yeah, it's a little too much information there. But I was then scheduled for removal. So I did surgery to remove that mass, and the surgeon ensured that all of the tumor was removed, as well as all of the lymph nodes that they found. However, 2 came back positive for colon cancer. So he recommended me to oncology and to do chemotherapy. I made the choice to move back to Hawaii. When I did the surgery and found out about the colon cancer, I was in California at the time. But my family resides in Hawaii. So I moved back to Hawaii to do chemotherapy with the support of my family, to have a stronger support system. This chemotherapy was 4 rounds administered over 4 weeks. But because of an infection to a port, so they install a port which administers the chemotherapy, there's an infection there. They had to halt, I believe it was 1 treatment, and so that they could move the port to the other side. And then we restarted chemotherapy after that. So I finished chemotherapy um, around the ending of October or the beginning of November. So after it's done, after your regimen is done, they normally do scans and blood work to see what's going on. Well, I was told that I was NED, or no evidence of disease, something that I now know all cancer survivors rejoice when they hear NED, and would do follow-up scans or maintenance scans and blood work every 5 to 6 months. And this would go on for an X amount of years until the doctors or the oncologists, say that I am now free of cancer. So now it's May 2025, 5 to 6 months later. Time for those follow-up scans, the follow-up blood work, and the scans come back showing lesions on my liver. So I had an appointment with my oncologist to go over this news. And he said, you know what? Back when you did those scans in 2024, there was actually something a little bit there on the liver. And now this is like round two. This is another blow to me, And I also think this could have been prevented because with a thorough look at those scans back in 2024, they probably would have kept administering chemotherapy, and with the right amount, it probably would have gotten rid of those lesions because they were so small. Anyway, at that time, it was too small to do a biopsy or tell what it actually was. Um, so another thing before I go on, but another thing that we follow is called a carcinoembryonic. I'm so sorry, carcinoembryonic antigen. I believe I'm pronouncing that right, or CEA, which I can go on in a different video because it's a lot of information to go off of. But those numbers in my blood work, it went up a little bit, it peaked a little bit, but the oncologist still wanted to wait 3 months to see if there was growth in those lesions. Instead of being aggressive and maybe just putting me on chemotherapy, they wanted to wait 3 more months. So 3 more months is now August 2025. Scans are done, the scan results are received, and they show growth. And also that CEA number that I told you about earlier, it went up. It went up high enough for me to be uncomfortable about the number. And I'm told I would be on chemotherapy for life. At this point, I'm just lost. I don't know what to do. I have no idea where to start except to pray, cry, and ask the Lord to intervene, ask the Lord Jesus to intervene at that very moment. When I got home, I did some research, found a group called Colon Town, which is a group of people, lots of people that are going through the same thing that I am, but also have some wisdom, some knowledge that they can offer up, some information, resources. For instance, the first thing they told me was to get a second opinion because chemo for life isn't a good answer. That's not the answer you want to hear because there's other treatments out there. There's great liver surgeons. There's an option for transplant also, and there's also a good liver surgeon that they also recommended. So they were offering this advice to me. I got some numbers down. I made appointments. I also found a metabolic doctor, which I will have to go into detail a lot later because it's completely different than systemic treatment, which is chemotherapy and seeing an oncologist and everything like that. So that's something that I can talk about later. But I started to make calls and started scheduling appointments. Now, a biopsy is ordered to determine its mutation. There's many mutation types, but the mutation determines your regimen or what type of chemotherapy medicines that you will take to help combat the tumors, because I believe not all chemotherapy works for, it just depends on what you have. And that's what the mutation helps decide. So I started treatment in September of 2025. It's done every 2 weeks. Before the second treatment, another chemotherapy is added. So because we found out that mutation, they added that second medicine. And then we start to see that CEA number slowly decrease. I met with a metabolic doctor who, again, I can talk about later. I got in contact with a liver surgeon at City of Hope who requested scans, but because he was out of office for some time, the communication slowed down a little bit, but it was okay because I needed to get some chemotherapy done and get that working. I found out from an appointment with a transplant surgeon that I could be a candidate for a transplant as long as I met certain criteria. CEA, that number is one of them, but I can go into transplant also a little bit later as well. But I spoke to him. He said that I could be a possible candidate and that we would touch bases in December of 2025 or January 2026 after I get scans done after the 6 months, like 6 months of treatment. I'm sorry, 6 rounds of treatment. Fast forward to today, and my CEA is slowly rising. Again, not something I want happening. I had an in-person visit with the liver surgeon at City of Hope, and he believes it's because the regimen that I'm on is not working anymore. And he would advise that I get added back onto this other chemotherapy medicine that I was taking in 2024. But the oncologist didn't want me to continue that one because it causes neuropathy issues. Um, but the liver surgeon at City of Hope was like, "This is a stronger medicine. Had you stayed on it longer, because I also saw those little lesions back in October 2024, November 2024. Had you stayed on it, it probably would have taken those tumors away. So get back on it. It's a lot stronger." Other advice he gave me was, like I said, I'm in Hawaii right now, and I have a home also in California. So he recommended that I go back to California because treatment options in Hawaii is not like what they offer in California. In California, there's different treatments, there's trials, um, there's just a lot more things that I could do in California that Hawaii just wouldn't offer, and it can take these tumors away. And one of them is a resection, and the resection can come after my tumors go down. I can explain that later too, because the tumors are in an area of my liver where they cannot resect part of the liver. And if you don't know, I didn't know this until I spoke with Colin Town and went over their knowledge articles. But I found out that the liver regenerates itself, so you can cut off a piece of the liver and still live life while it regenerates within you. But in order for me to have that resection, the tumors need to shrink. And there's just treatment that in California called a high pump. People say HAIP, high P, but it's kind of like a port that they put in your abdomen, but it administers chemotherapy directly to the liver. So it's more concentrated, it's more powerful. In fact, I think someone said it's between 1 and 400 times the strength of regular systemic chemotherapy that actually goes throughout the entire body and makes you just feel like junk every single time you're done with infusion. Um, Other advice that liver surgeon gave me was that if transplant is approved and if I can move forward with it, to do it, because that's the closest thing that can get me to being cured of cancer. And also to keep fighting because I can get through this. He saw my scans, he knows all my blood work, he knows that I am doing well, and he said to just keep fighting. Um, and so I saw that liver surgeon last week, and this week I had a few appointments, and one of them was with my transplant surgeon. This is the follow up that he promised me, to touch bases on what the tumor board would recommend and advise. And they looked at the scans. I did some scans in December of 2025, and they looked at those scans and saw that there might be something in my left ovary. So now I'm waiting to get an ultrasound down um, and completed. But on the bright side, if there is something, we caught it early. We'll just work through it. If not, um, hallelujah! Like I just move on to transplant and listen to those recommendations that he has for me. Um, but I'm sitting here today, went through actually a total of 15 treatments, 5 in 2024 and 11 from 2025 to 2026. I still feel great. I still feel strong, um, and I know that I can get through this with right treatment, with prayer. I can get through this. But as promised, I'll get more into detail on the certain things that I mentioned throughout my talk. CEA, transplant, resection, mutation, what that all means for me, because I'm not a medical professional, so don't take my advice, but what it means for me specifically. Everyone is different. Chemo reacts to people in different ways. The great thing is I see my oncologist and his physician's assistant every other week. And every time I go in, it's like a 10-minute talk because I don't have the side effects that chemotherapy might have on other people. Doesn't really happen to me. I don't vomit a lot. I'm not throwing up a lot. Um, with the chemotherapy that I'm on, diarrhea is a big thing, and I don't really get diarrhea. I get super tired, fatigued, but otherwise I can still go on. I bought a walking pad, so it's a lot easier for me to, get off the bed when I need to, or get off the chair when I need to, and go and walk a little bit. Because the hills where I live is a little bit too much for me right now. But otherwise, um, just trying to get along. So, like I said, that's why I feel great and great. I feel strong. I feel well, despite what's actually going on in me. Um, but if you have any questions, let me know. I will try to answer them. Um, Obviously, you stayed on this long, so if you can like, subscribe, follow, all those things, um, because my videos, or what I have been taught, can be taught to you or someone that you know that's going through something similar to me, that just don't know where to start and are maybe even giving up. But there's a lot of resources. You have to do the research. You have to, if you want to live, you want to live, you have to do the research. If you want to get through this, you have to uh, join groups like Colin Town, watch videos like this. One thing that I know is you can get a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, depression. Um, but hearing stories from other people and their accomplishments and their victories, has really gotten me to today. Um, and without my family, without my support system, um, it would be hard. But groups like Town understand. I understand now that I'm going through it, what it feels like to go through a certain chemotherapy medicine. I know what it feels like. It's called scanxiety. Every time I get a scan, my anxiety rises, and all I do is I dip my head in the Bible and I just pray and listen to, worship and positive music to get me through it. Regardless of what the scan says, I just pick it up and I move on to the next thing. Okay, this is what we need to get done. If it's not a good report, that's what do I need to get it done? Let's be aggressive on this. If you need an aggressive team, if your oncology team isn't aggressive and isn't a for you team, find another one. There's a lot more different ones out there. There's a lot of great cancer centers out there. You might have to travel, but if your life is worth living, if you want to see your, if you have children and you want to be around for your children, um, driving and traveling is nothing. Is nothing. Take them on that journey with you, so that way you have that positivity sitting right next to you. But this is coming towards the end of it, and I'll keep posting what I can. Try to give you folks some updates as they come, what it looks like, and we'll just take it from there. But otherwise, I will talk to everyone later. God bless, and have a great day.